Salamat Balik. Welcome in Syrian. Welcome to PAO's live webinar, Antarians, Masters of Light and Sound. What a beautiful, beautiful experience I have been enjoying since the Antarians came to me and asked to be featured in this webinar for September. My friend Andrea, she's the one who did the artist depiction of the Antarians for our ad. Well, she and I, we had so much fun talking about these beautiful beings, so full of light and color. And I've enjoyed all the stories about the praying mantis that all of you have shared, along with pictures. It's been so inspiring and great and brought joy to my life. And with all the delays, it was a nice way to change of pace, to have a change of pace. Because I have to admit, with so much emphasis on the SARA, the RV, the GCR, when will it manifest, when, and all the seemingly delays, the refocusing and reconnecting with one of our galactic neighbors was very much welcomed. I felt the energy shift immediately throughout our galactic community. I'm sure you did too. It was like just joy. Everybody was having these joyous experiences. I loved it. Well, Sheldan and I have been challenged this week with many different ailments, and I had the flu yesterday, 24-hour flu. I'm great today. What a difference a day makes. And Sheldan, he has a kind of a bum knee and a bum hip, and he couldn't get up the stairs, and I went, oh no, what are we gonna do? You got to get up the stairs. But he's a trooper, and he found a way as he crawled up the stairs to be with us today. And he maintained his sense of humor, as he always does. So I just wanted to quote something out of Your First Contact, Sheldan's book, Your First Contact. You are currently hovering on the edge of an amazing cosmic journey through the myriad wonderlands of consciousness. And that's what the Antarians have brought to me, the wonderlands. They're back in my purview, and I love it. Quote again, these awesome worlds, your eternal home that you are now bound for, are filled with the magical experiences and represent your true joy and happiness. You, my fellow lights, are beginning to gaze rather tentatively upon these numerous realms. The spiritual hierarchy detects a certain degree of apprehension lingering within you, obstructing your path. Fear not. The omnipotent brilliance of the light ever guides your journey. Dear friends, open your hearts, free your minds, and greet us in love. And so that's what we want you to do right now, is to greet the Antarians, for they will be blessing each and every one of us with their unique sound, light, and color. So take a deep breath and get ready for a beautiful, beautiful, uplifting webinar. It's all yours, Shell.
It's the Antarians, Masters of Light and Sound. And as I always do, I'm going to give a quick opening prayer to set the stage and energies for these wonderful beings. So I'm going to ask the Supreme Creative Force to come in and allow all of us to take in all the energies, whether said by me or just brought into you as interdimensional energies, to use it, to put it together to create this new reality. So be it. And now, let me talk to you about the Antarians. Now, but first, let's do the galaxy. This is our galaxy, and I think this is a different, I try to do different galaxies. I have like 7 galaxy pictures, and this is my 8th one. I like this one a lot. You can see the great central bulge in the middle, and as you can see on the left side, it says, we, meaning our solar system, are here. Now, let's continue. I just wanted you to see that. That's kind of like the macro that I said. Now, evidence of the Galactic Federation in our skies. And here's an Andromedan atmospheric scout ship over a bridge in Russia near Leningrad. Here's a small Palladian ship over British resort, which is Brighton. And finally, this is a scout ship above New York City. This is an Andromedan sign scout ship above Central Park. That's why they have trees there. Now, onward. Now remember, as we do all of this, the mass landings are the key to all that is to follow. Now, let's look at the Antari. Now, the Antari are galactic praying mantis types. They're insectians. But what we have to remember about them is they are very special beings because they really don't have one single home. And they have gone to galaxy to spread light and love, and they do it by finding the lay of the land, adapting to it, and finding how to make that lay of the land better. Now, this is where they originally began their journey, which is the Sombrero Galaxy, which is roughly about 28 million light years from our own sun. Now, when you realize that the closest galaxy to us, the Andromedan Galaxy, is 2 million light years away. That is 14 times farther than the Andromedan Galaxy is to us. It's pretty far. But the reason why they do not worry about these immense distances, when you remember 1 light year is 6 trillion miles, that's a lot of traveling in 1 year. So they have this galaxy, and of course you can see why they call it the Sombrero Galaxy. It's a spiral galaxy like ours, but the thing that works on it is it has this wonderful galactic core center, and it has this light. And so if you look at this broad rim, and then the light, it looks like a Mexican sombrero, and that's where it gets its name. And I think it's kind of interesting that one of the leading light creatures, let me put this arrow over here, one of the leading light creatures in our not only galaxy but universe comes from here, and we know somebody not only from places here in this galaxy but from 28 million light years away. Now think of that, 6 trillion light years times 28 million. That's a pretty far distance, folks. Now, where they live, their galactic home is in Sagittarius. They live in what's called, to the astronomers, Mu Sagittari. Okay. And now the interesting thing about Mu Sagittari is it's a complex star system. In other words, it has more than one star circling around each other. But the neat thing about it is it's one of the few binary star systems that emits colors. They have it's something that the astronomers are really fascinated by, but they didn't realize the reason why it has such a strange and odd relationship to each other, the binary star of Mu Sagittari, which incidentally is 3,000 light years from Gaia, is because the primary inhabitant of that system of a binary star is the Antari, or the Antarians. They like to call themselves the Antari, which is their collective name. So there they are. Now, I said one of the things they do is when they come into a galaxy, they try to turn it toward the light. But initially, what they do is they adapt themselves to where they are. Now, Sagittarius is very close to a lot of the core area of the old Antarian alliance. The guys on the other side, as I used to call them, they, of course, in 95, had a treaty which ended all the galactic wars. Now, there's peace in the galaxy. Now, the people who helped with that, I feel very deeply, as I have learned about these magnificent creatures, is them, the Antarians. Now, oh yes, they were part of many abductions by the Greys. They were the leaders, and when anyone who encountered them, there are all kinds of stories of how these Grey guys were mechanical, but the other creatures, the big guys, they are 7 to 8 feet tall, were nice and loving, and they felt very at ease with them. That's the nature of who they are. They are healers. Now, they knew their light and love could only be spread gradually throughout the galaxy. They understood the nature of what was going on because, of course, they immediately got in charge of talking to all the galactic hierarchies. And as they did so, all the members of the spiritual hierarchies of all the different star systems, etc., gave them pointers about what they were doing. They knew that if they worked hard, there would be a piece of Antara. They knew if they worked hard enough, they would turn this amazing center of galactic wars to the light, to the peace that it now enjoys. And they knew that with their energies, they could begin to turn all the Antaran peoples, or as the Antaran continuum called it, Antara's children. And so Antara's children are turning toward the light. They're not turning toward the dark. The dark era is over with. The wars with the Federation are over. They are happy, as is the Federation, which desperately wanted to get this peace happen. Now, another one. Their worlds are full of color. As I said, when the astronomers looked at Mu Sagittari, what did they discover? Color. They discovered sound, all kinds of flickering lights, etc. What the Antari do when they get to an area that they're in other words, in this new galaxy, they immediately begin to broadcast light and love, and they want very much for everyone to know that A, the Antari can be trusted, and 2, they're about love and light, about healing all the wounds that undoubtedly this war brought out. So let's look at the Antari as a people. What I want to make it very clear to all of you is that the Antari, okay, you say 7, 8 foot tall praying mantis person. Wow. When you think of an insectian, most people freak. What the Antari wanted for humans to know, there's no reason to freak. They're about light, they're about love, they're about healing. You'll hear a zillion stories about this. Now, people who are into spiritual matters have discovered that the praying mantis people are about peace, are about healing, are very spiritual. That's the basis of who and what they are. Now, the world they entered, the Antaran Alliance, was not that way. They knew they had landed in probably, initially you would say, the wrong side of the galaxy. It was the dark side of the galaxy. Like they say, if you're going to change something, start at the worst part and work your way out. That was the method that the spiritual hierarchies of this galaxy had basically hinted at with the Antari. Now, the Antari are unique, and as we're going to explain later, they don't really consider any part of the universe their home. What they consider their home is the universe. And they consider their home, the universe, to be a place of peace, a place of love, and a place of light and color. And that is what they want to give to this galaxy, as they have given to many others. The Antari are unique. They have the ability to travel from one galaxy to another easily. They have the ability to travel in time. They have the ability to heal by taking all this vast energies that they have access to and turn it toward love and light and healing. Now, this is just an example of a Sagittarian world, a distant world. The Antari, as I said, see themselves as kind of a traveling spiritual show of healing, light, and color. Their job is to make it absolutely possible for all people who are sentient to be free, to be loving, to be capable of achieving their full potential. That is what they are about. Now, when they first arrived thousands of years ago, this was not the case in this galaxy. The Antarians were running roughshod around the galaxy, destroying worlds, creating all kinds of bad energies. One of the examples of this, which happened actually millions of years ago, happens in Orion. Many astronomers discovered that there's a field in Orion that shows how space-time, this fabric of space-time, has been wrinkled. Now, so the Antari came here, and they knew deeply inside what they were doing that this was going to be very difficult. What I'm going to do when I get into them properly is I'm going to explain all about what they have been creating in this galaxy. Now, first of all, as I said, let's look at this galaxy. Up until 1995, there was a galactic peace for about 200 years. So from roughly the time, just around the time, I'd say the time when the American Revolution was finished and our new nation was beginning, this wonderful truce happened. It got broken many times, but the important thing to understand is they were in the middle of it. They saw the peace coming, and they knew they had to do the right thing. Now, as I said, they are healers of the universe. So the spiritual hierarchy knew that with the Antari on the other side, the dark side, that they could gradually convince the continuum that ruled the Anchar Alliance to stop, to have peace, to end these silly wars, and to change the whole concept of how this Ancharan society was constructed. They knew deeply when they first saw them that they were, I might say, far down the line as far as societies are put together. Warlike, no real soul, obeying commands almost robotically. It was not what the Antari were used to. They also saw other worlds in this alliance that were also Insectian, and they saw they were a lot different from them. So what they knew they had to do was reform this entire society. Now, how do you do that? First of all, you've got to have a peace. So they cooperated and saw how the U.S. government and its auxiliary, its secret government, were cooperating with the Ancharans to have abductions and other things. And they wanted to make it as pleasant as possible. They wanted all of this to end. They wanted people to know that. They wanted people to understand who and why and where they were. Now that's the key. That's what makes these magnificent beings different. And so, let me give you an example of how humans feel about giant praying mantis people. There's an example in the Mexico City, they had a 60-minute Mexico City program, and for months and years, all it was dedicated to was videos. Well, about 13 years ago, there was a video. And this video was as follows. This lady was washing dishes. She looks out the window, and what does she see? A giant praying mantis being. Now, it didn't matter that this giant being, which was about 8 feet tall, was able to have this amazing aura around it, like Buddha. She was freaked out. So she started screaming, running around the house. Her husband very smartly picked up a video camera and filmed the whole thing. And what you see is his video of the Antaran by his ship and by the tree, and his wife running back and forth through the film, screaming her head off. But you look at the Antarian and you say, wow, light, an amazing aura. That's who these people are. It's very difficult when people think about Insectians to think of light and love, but that's what makes the praying mantis people so different. Now I'm going to describe them. Let me get you a better idea. The very essence of them. When I first started going through and putting a webinar together, I asked my friends up there, how do I describe these people? And the key word was color. rainbow-like colors, manipulators of color. These beings were different from anything practically in this entire galaxy. Just as the Mu Sagittari binary star system is so different from any other one, even in Sagittarius or any other constellation. Why? The Antari. When we get to meet these magnificent beings, we're going to be visited by a being that is different than any other thing we have ever met. Oh yes, he looks like a giant praying mantis. He resembles that quite closely. But another thing about him, or her, they know and they understand exactly who and what they are. Their mission to Earth is not a mission so much about war and evil and all that other stuff. It's about light and love. It's about expressing who they really are to us as well as to each other in the Antarian Alliance. Now, they have lots of homeworlds. Let's go through the Antarian society. First of all, as I said, the Antarians come from the highest levels of light, love, and sound. They know how to use it, to weave light to create greater love and the most beautiful sounds. That's who they are. Now, as I said, what they do is they're in 20, think of this, they're in 28 galaxies. Of course, there's billions of galaxies, but what I'm doing with this is to explain about who they are. So that means they have 28 home worlds, one star system planet in every one of these galaxies. And they constantly move from one galaxy to the other. They don't just hop galactic space. They hop intergalactic space. And not only intergalactic space, but time. They are masters of space-time. They know exactly what's happening everywhere. Now, this is them. This is my friend Andrea Elred was asked to draw the picture. Colleen gave her basic ideas of what to draw, and she came up with this. It's magnificent. It's all about color. That's what they are. And they are spread, as I said, across the universe, 28 galaxies. Their main one, their starting point being the Sombrero Galaxy, 28 million light years away. Now, when you look at such a being, what you begin to wonder about is, wow, how did such an amazing life form happen? Answer. The Creator who makes all things gave these magnificent beings a job, a mission, to heal this broad, seemingly endless universe. They have been using their powers and energies to do that ever since, and that was millions of years ago. Like all fully sentient beings, they live for thousands of years, and they look at what they are doing as changing each galaxy that they encounter. Now, they know there are so many galaxies, it would take forever to do it all. So what happened was this. They picked 28 galaxies that were representative of the major galaxies around us. Remember, galaxies in our universe are as plentiful as beads of sand on the beach. Think of that. Billions and billions and billions and billions of universes. That is what the Antari are doing right now, spreading across the universe, and doing it for one simple, magnificent purpose. They want to make it absolutely sure that each and every one of us gets their full potential achieved and achieves all that they wish to do. And they have been working endlessly to achieve this in 28 galaxies. Now, they were told by the spiritual hierarchies of heaven that the important thing to do, the most important thing to do, was to pick 28 key galaxies that would be starter points. One of these was the Milky Way galaxy. That's why they're here, and that's why they're in Sagittarius. Now, they started with me, said, well, they're supposed to spread light and love. Why are they starting with the Antarian Alliance? Because they wanted more than anything to take something that sounded almost impossible and change it. And of course, you have all kinds of stories about the history on this planet of praying mantis and how they are considered special, because they are. When I was first looking around at all of this, in other words, when I'd been given the assignment, I wanted to find out about these beings and who are they? What are they doing? What is their society? What do they eat? For instance, I found out they don't eat food per se. The galactic praying mantis, the Antari, they live on light and energy. That's all they need. Light and energy. This makes them very special people. The Antarians weren't like that. The Antarians were very 3D people, some of them very robotic. So they encountered these beings, but they knew the key to peace in this galaxy, the key to shift in this galaxy, was to shift the continuum. In other words, the Antara continuum. And they looked at it, and they came up with a plan. Let's get us trusted by these beings, and then let us slowly feed them what is necessary to create peace, light, and love. It took them thousands of years, but they succeeded. Why? Because every mission that the Antari have ever done succeeded. They wanted this one to succeed as well. To do this, they needed to heal this place. So they began watching all these galactic wars going on, watching planets being vaporized. They saw this place needed a lot of help. So they began converting groups bit by bit by bit by bit. By 1995, they had converted enough that the continuum itself knew that the prophecy about there being peace had reached the point when it must at last be true and be in action. And so they declared the peace of Antara. Peace for the galaxy. Wow. That's the first thing they had done. Now, it's only been a little over 20 years since the peace. What are they doing already? They have taken many of the former great fleets, battle fleet nations of the Antarian Alliance, and turned them around. Much like the Tibetans were turned around centuries ago. They went from an extremely warlike people to Buddhist monks. In the case of the Antari, they have taken many, many groups and turned them from fierce warriors to followers of peace, from groups that cared not for spirit, but to groups that used spirit almost exclusively for the good, from a group that didn't care whether it had a light body or not, to a group that desperately wanted a light body. Reason for all of this? The Antari. They knew this. They knew it would take time. They knew that as this took time, it would also mean deeply that this world, Earth, Gaia, would shift. Now they knew that there was a cosmic plan for this world to shift. The key would be the end of the era of money. How do you end the era of money? Unbelievable prosperity. Make money commonplace. Let it go. That's what they saw coming. So they saw that their job was very simple: to heal not only the Antara Alliance, but to heal the Galactic Federation as well. Because there were lots of planets that were in the process of shifting that were in the light. And they wished to do what was necessary to bring this about. As it says here, the Antari regularly tap into the energy of light and sound. They live on it. They travel. Their ships are about light and sound. They are diaphanous. They are built of love. Now, they are an extremely unique people. They knew that their collection of spiritual light and sound, which is immense, was going to change this galaxy. They didn't know how fast it would be. They knew it would be a lot faster because of what they were doing. They realized, oh yes, people do not understand who and what they are. Now here, even in the land of the galactic spiritual hierarchies, all of this, the Antari found, was still wanting. They had to change it. So they began looking around for another group. There were a group of healers. They found that group, and in this galaxy, they created a circle of love and light, and it surrounds everyone. And as they did that, they found out about the Antarians, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the most important thing for everyone to understand right now is that they understood what the Antarians were doing. They also understood why they were here. And of course, we can go into all kinds of stories of people who have encountered them and how their lights have changed for the better. And we could go through these stories left and right. But that isn't what we're here for today. What we're here for today is to understand, like they like to say, the modus operandi. What is the governing force behind all of this? It is the grand decree of the Creator. They said to the Antari, spread across the galaxies, across the universe. Learn about these peoples. See how they can be shifted greater and much better way toward light and love, and then allow this light and love to sink in and forever shift this reality. And that is how they work. So they use their energies, understanding that, like the Antarians, they were great healers as well. And so let's use this. If we have a great healing energy, let's use those beings in this galaxy that can help to further this project. And they came to the Antarians. And they understood almost immediately that their job, as it was in many other galaxies, was just this: to learn about everybody, to see how those societies can be changed for the better, and most of all, to make sure every person has a marvelous wondrous soul. They did that. Think of what all of this is going on. And it was going on all once in 28 different galaxies. Now, how high up does this light and love go? Up to the full 9 dimensions of physical reality. The 8 dimensions proper, and the 9th one, which represents the beginning of heaven energy. They saw all of this. They forecasted. And they applied it. But they quickly learned, as far as humanity is concerned, that, okay, there are some people that you could give various teachings to. There are some people who know what's going on, but these are few and far between. What the Antari needed to do was to shift the whole thing. And that's what they did. They left nothing behind to chance about what was going on here. They knew, as indeed everybody else in this galaxy knew, that this was a galaxy of high potential and peace, and it needed to be achieved. When the Antari first came upon the scene, they knew and they understood all of this. They realized deep inside themselves that much of what they were doing would have to be done in this galaxy in secret. They couldn't reveal themselves because humanity, which was one of the leading species heading toward full consciousness, there are a whole bunch of other ones, but the important point, the major group is humans, and Earth humans had a special idea because Earth, Gaia, the core of it, is the singularity that created this entire Milky Way galaxy. So Earth became prime potential land. Now, as they did that, they understood what they were doing. They were creatures that lived for thousands of years. They were beings that lived on light. They were beings that had a society that was so spiritual and amazing that it was random. They didn't have galactic societies as we know them, or even as the Galactic Federation knows them. They were different. They were unique. Now, as I said, their mission was to travel throughout the universe, bringing this light and love, this amazing color, this amazing sound to everyone. And that's what they did. Now, as I say here, they move eloquently across space-time. They are masters of space-time. They can fold space better than anybody, and they can create time better than anybody. And they know what makes up the universe. They understand how to work it. So what became an important aspect of all of this is very simple. There were ways to make this particular galaxy and this particular planet work properly. And they took a large interest in it. Of course, at the time when they first began, which was in the 1950s, this world was controlled by a society, I should call it dark people, dark men, evil women, and they needed to alter that group. That's now happening. They had an idea of how long it would take. They knew what they had to do, and so they did it. Now we can, as I said, we could spend all our time talking about the Antarians, their 28 solar systems, their 28 quote-unquote homeworlds, and how they move from one to the other. Think of it. They go through billions, quadrillions of years as easily as somebody goes across the street. So they knew what was happening. The universe is expanding. It's running away from one another at a light speed. What we need to know is the nature of all of this and how this energy of light and love fits into the great pattern of the Creator. Who can teach us this? The Antari. They're teaching it now to the former Antarian planets and star systems. They're showing them that by getting rid of their fleets, amalgamating it with the galactic federations, they are changing who they are. And then asking them questions. Now that you have peace, do you understand the spiritual aspects of who you are? And every one of them is doing that right now. As it says here with time travel, they are very advanced and simple in concept. Take a bubble around me and move me to the other cross of not this galaxy, but the 20th galaxy away. And do it all in a few minutes. Their viewpoint is not our viewpoint. It's the viewpoint is intergalactic. Their viewpoint is heavenly. And they do this gladly, easily. Now, here's an example of an Antari ship coming out of interdimensional space-time. That's all the energies around it. You can see the flame-like stuff around the ship. This being the power device. What is happening is, as they move from one galaxy to another, as they transform one galaxy to another, their suppositions, their change, their way of doing things is changing other galaxies. Those 28 galaxies are hundreds of thousands of different galaxies that when they know what the Antari have done will change, will shift. That's why they went to these 28. Now in 1995 there was peace. No more formal abductions except ones by the local gendarmes in this particular reality, and an end to a lot of very bad stuff. Now, how did the Antari fit in with the Galactic Federation? Their first job, as I said, they are taking the former Antarian alliance and turning it on its head, creating whole new societies that are both galactic and Antari-like. Galactic societies, I've explained to you, I have wrote a whole book about it. What we need to know right now and understand is Antari societies. If I had a great deal of time, I would go through that, but let me give you a nutshell of what it is, because I haven't done any drawings or anything like that, but what I would like to do is to explain it. Now, the Antari believe in the collective, just as the galactic societies are about collective, but collective as expressed through the individual. So the Antari. Only this is about healing. Healing is a very special thing. It is the highest calling of any being. The Antari know that. And when you're in 28 different galaxies, you have every different combination imaginable. In each one, they are achieving their success. How? Let's look at what they're doing and how this doingness of the Antari is changing not only our world, but the universe. That's the important thing for us to know. Now, I may sound a little too pedantic right now. I'm just trying to express some opinions. Just excuse me. But the important thing for all of us to know and to realize is the nature of Galactic Society and Antarian Society, and finally, the randomness of the Antari Society. It's important as you move from one group to another that you understand one important point. You have a potential. That potential needs to be expressed during your lifetime. That is the key of what the Antari Society is all about. Now, let's look at this a little better. Now, the Antarian Society, you have okay, Antari. Okay. Now, the Antari Society is very much something that we need to look at. Okay. The Galactic Society has pods and podlets and clans and all that. The Antari has none of that. They believe in the essence of full potential and full spirit. And they express that to everyone that they encounter. So, I believe from what I have learned over the past week from various groups that have visited me, that the Galactic Society understands how it now needs to be changed. Now, it was always fluid. Fluid group dynamics is the basis of how such societies are operated. What we have here is a different kind of reality. The Antari believe in the now, the eternal now. They take this eternal now and they look at it. And they see that the eternal now has within it limitless potentials. These limitless potentials need to be acknowledged and expressed. Now, Galactic Society likewise does that. It asks that the full potential of every being be expressed, and it does that through its wonderful organizational group, Fluid Group Management. Now, the Antari look at Fluid Group Management, and they were not impressed. They believe the key to it all is not just fluidity, it's randomness, ordered randomness. Ultimately, mathematically, the ultimate aspect of life is carefully ordered randomness. Now, I'm going to try to explain differences here. So let me move on to the next one. Now, I just described to you fluid group dynamics and how a galactic society operates. I've done numerous charts in my lectures, my webinars, and my books about this. Now let's see, now the Antari come in, and what do? They kind of turn it all on its ear. What they are about is light and healing in the realm of love. And that's what they always expressed when they are together. and when they are doing their mission. This is their ordered randomness. Now, to understand it and see how it works is the very basis of what they are about. So guess what? This is what it says here. These healings are altering all. Let the light of your heart shine above all things. New realities are the result of the Antarians' healings. When they talk to one another, when they talk to others, they heal. Their whole essence is healing. Think of it, a society based on putting to the highest level the art of healing. Healing yourself, your soul, your society, your planet, your universe, your galaxy. That's what they're about, and they express it. People who have encountered them have noticed the unbelievable calmness energy that they have. There's stories after stories about people who've encountered them, going from being stressed and worried to being in a absolute calm, no caring reality attitude. From all that I have seen and heard about them, they are a people greatly different from any other groups that we have ever known. And as we look at them, we feel this. I mean, I could pick up stories after stories after stories after stories about them. The calmness, the feeling of love, and most of all, I would say here, feeling healed. Healing to the Antarians is based on stress, based on goals that are not proper. They're just too much. When you love yourself to the point where you are able to transfer that love to others, you realize there's no time. Love is timeless. The whole concept of their society is based on that one simple fact. Oh yes, we're time travelers. Oh yes, we hop from one dimension to another. Oh yes, in this dimension we hop from one galaxy to another. It's all relevant. That's very important to them. And as they do so, this simple attitude changes everything. Example, as I've expressed before, Antara was in a long war. It had lasted millions upon millions of years, tens of millions of years. The Antari come. And in just a few thousand years, they take the very basis of what this group is about and change it. Suddenly, their massive war fleets are not warring. Suddenly, all their groups are not full of hate for the other side. Suddenly, they see that there is another way. When you see this in action, what does it happen? It happens that as they do this again and again and again, they change what they're surrounded by, in this case, the darkness. And guess what? A few thousand years after they arrive here, there's galactic peace. There's unions. There's people learning to love and care for one another. That is the Antari. Now, Antari, that's what I'm talking about. Now, so what they're about is unifying. So now there's the peace of Antara. The Antari see as their new goal to knit this mass diversity of a galaxy together into one. The Antarian love and healing is taking every aspect, every group, every creature, every being, is taking them toward peace, toward love and light, and of course, prosperity. Now, I'm going to finish up with a little aside. Now, I haven't given a lot of stories. I mean, I could have given stories and gone all the way to 130, but I think the most important thing for all of us to understand right now is who the Antari are. They're not just giant praying mantis or even praying mantis people. They have been assigned by the Creator to bring love, light, sound, and color of a healing nature to this reality, and indeed to all realities. To do this, they've learned that society needs to be based upon this eternal light and upon the healing that comes from it. And they have helped every group that they have encountered to move toward love and light. And the basis of love is peace. In the case of the Antarian continuum, it was as the Antari wanted, it was peace. The declaration by the continuum, the core of Anchara, was to end war and was for unity. As I said, some of the basic principles of the Antari. Now, as it says here, they work with the Antarians, both healing lands are working to end any darkness in this galaxy. They're discovering, the Antarians are discovering that they are not alone. That these Insectians know, love, and understand who they are and what they're doing. Second of all, as I said, they are transitioning all the love and light. That's their very essence. It's actually the Antarian symbol, the goal, would just be unity through love, light, and sound. And that means grand healing. So that's what we're talking about right now. They know and they understand what is going on here. They know Rome wasn't built in a day, so to speak. They know the changes are coming. Excuse me. So, what they are doing is very simple. They are making absolutely sure that nothing gets derailed and that this mission in this galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, happens, and the peace presently forged by Anchara and the Galactic Federation is at once permanent and shifting. And never again shall any part of this galaxy be at war with any other part. Never shall limitations be given by one to another. That's what they're all about. They understand that. They realize that. And they wish for all to fully understand that simple factor. And they are, in my opinion, succeeding. They have made it possible for this piece of Anchara. I really feel that deeply as I went through who they were and what they were and how they worked. They had taken what seemed like an impossible situation and finally forced the continuum to admit that the time of peace had come. No more war. Let the peoples, mostly non-human peoples, of the Antara Alliance come together and let this group mix together and unify the Galactic Federation. That's what so they are to me, they are the sacred instrument that did this. Pretty amazing stuff. So as they do this, they are working with the Antarians and with others on this world to bring forth their light and love and make it our light and love. And once again, we could have endless stories about one thing. Encounters with the Antari, it's about one thing. The feeling of calmness, the feeling of light and love, the full expression to everyone of an end to feeling, how can we call it, depressed, upset. It's time to end all of that. It's time also to cause difficulties. Let's end difficulties. Let's bring us all together. And so, these great beings are indeed masters of light and love. The Antari and others are indeed opening these new visions for all. Oops. So with that, I'm going to conclude, but first I'm going to say one quick thing, and then I will turn it over to my love. A big zazuma to Andrea Allred for her insightful artwork. She did a beautiful job in showing us what the Antari look like and what they're about, not to be afraid of them. And so with that, and that wonder, I turn now this webinar over to my wondrous other half, the great Kalini. Are you ready, my dear?
I am ready. Oh, well, I hope everybody's feeling the love, because I sure am. And a few of you wrote in and said you can feel the Galactic Federation and the Antarians around you. And ask for them to come into your dream time tonight and the nights to follow, because they will come. You might not remember it, but they will come. Okay. Well, as we always do, every month we release the webinar from the previous 2 months ago, so July, and that was called Transition. Moving from a 3D money-based system to a 5D full consciousness. And of course, so much focus has been on the money and when's it coming. And it's not about the money per se. It's about the freedom. It's about it's actually changing the power structure that's been in power for 13 millennia to the new power structure, which is all of us, represented by a few until we get a new system going, a more galactic system. And this webinar tells it very well. And some of the topics is power corrupts, how the power-hungry cabal has exploited humanity, debt slavery, how a money-based system has kept us in servitude. Oh yeah. Why the Galactic Federation requires us to transition through prosperity programs and abundance. Why the cabals are making it so difficult for us to financially move forward, because it's the end of them, that's why. And why our current banking system needs to change to allow prosperity funds finally to be delivered, which since we've done this webinar, there's been much forward movement on that. And what happens during delivery of prosperity funds and after the transition phase, when and how we will be able to travel to inner earth and enter our light chambers. What will happen to our money and possessions once we become fully conscious beings of light? I don't know about you, but I could walk out of my house and not take anything but Sheldan and the clothes on my back. I don't even need those, but anyway, so this will be available on Thursday night after our webinar on Thursday, okay? Perfect. And this is a good one if you want to educate your friends and family who are kind of starting to understand, but they don't really know what's going on. This is jam-packed, this webinar, and it does explain everything, and it gives people hope. And then they understand what they're seeing transpire before our very eyes. Okay, moving right along. Now, it's interesting. Sheldan was telling me, you know, they don't like to be called insectoids. No, no, no. They said we are insectians. And so in the future, don't call them insectoids, call them insectians, because that's what they prefer. All of them, the grasshoppers, the butterflies, any of the insects, insectians around our galaxy. Now, the other thing is to remember that Earth is so very special. I think Sheldan mentioned it, that it actually houses the singularity seed that created our whole universe, not our whole universe, excuse me, our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So because of that, we have more animals and insects than most planets. And there is a corresponding planetary system for all the insects, all the animals. So you'll have a bear planet, a praying mantis planet, obviously, and or Antari, they'll call themselves, or a turtle planet, a butterfly planet, all of it. Just imagine. I can't wait to travel the galaxy, let alone as the Antarians do. They galaxy hop and they dimension hop. And that's what we're going to be able to do once we become fifth dimensional. That is exciting to me. That's why we're here, is to bring that about again. Because really it's a returning to that ability. So that's something to keep in mind always. Okay, questions and answers.
Okay.
Okay, number one, could you give a definition of the Antarian and the Antarian, what do you call them? The Antarian Alliance.
Right.
Who are they?
Okay, they originally were the representatives of the dark force that came to this galaxy to spread darkness across the galaxy. However, in working with this galaxy, they agreed with heaven that at a certain time, the decree of Michael, of Archangel Michael, to bring forth peace and light in this galaxy would be honored. And finally, the one who convinced them of this, I really believe, was the Antari. And they proclaimed in 95, roughly about 22 years ago, they declared that this galaxy was now to be a place of peace, and that they accepted Michael's concept of a galaxy of light and love. And that's what's happening right now. I hope that explains it in a way so that people kind of are brought up to speed.
So the Anchara is the dark element of this galaxy.
Right.
And that includes the Draconians, the Reptilians,
etc.
the Dinosaurians.
The whole group.
Are there any humans that are Ancharans?
Yes, there are.
There are?
There's a Nordic group that...
Wow, this is something I didn't know, folks. Okay.
They're not all non-humans, my dear.
Well, I thought for Anchara it was.
So this group agreed with them about the darkness in this galaxy, and they now have been forced by the treaties to shift, and I like that.
Huh. I did not know that.
That's why when many people talk about what they have encountered who are in these secret projects, they talk about what are called the Nordic beings. They look like they just came off the boat from Norway a few days ago.
I thought those were the, like a lot of Nordic, they say, are the Pleiadians and things like that.
Yeah, they do. They are also white, but this group is a little different, and so they are there and they are shifting. So.
And also Kathy wants to know, that kind of answered a few people's questions, but Kathy also wants to know, who are the Archons?
Please, can we get away from the Archons and all that stuff? Let's begin to talk.
Well, explain it.
Okay, they're supposed to be the people that create all the evil on this planet, okay? And
I thought they were fourth dimensional.
They are, and they're into evil.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, okay, so now give your positive spin on all of that.
All of that has shifted, and that's old news, okay?
Exactly.
We're now in a world of peace and unity, and we are in the middle of a great unifying set of decrees to bring all in this universe into, in this galaxy, into light and love. So yes, and they now want, all the beings in the Star Alliance now want to have light bodies, and they want to be fully conscious beings. And since many of them were created without souls, pretty cool.
Yes, and this is one of our bugaboos, kind of, is that so many people keep perpetuating all these wars. We're addicted. This planet is addicted to drama. So wonder if we didn't have any of that drama. Wonder if we just started saying, okay, there are no more galactic wars. The prophecies have been fulfilled, and now we're returning to the age of peace and cooperation and light and love.
Right.
Isn't that exciting enough? To me, that's exciting. The other is kind of boring, if you want to know the truth. I'm done with it all. I'm just like, I'm done with that. I want to get on with loving and healing and exploring and hearing the different music of the galaxy. And the Antari have brought us many good songs.
So as a result of that, that's why you'll notice when you see any of the Hollywood dramas about space, it's always about wars. It's always about conflict. And so we have to change that. As a matter of fact, when many Hollywood writers were asked to write for Star Trek, they had a hard time. They rebelled because they didn't believe that there was any group as good as the people in Star Trek were described by Gene Roddenberry and many of the so-called backstory minimums required to write these dramas weekly. So, yeah, let's get off the drama, kids. We don't need to play war. We need to understand peace, light, love, and prosperity.
Hallelujah. Okay. Tom says, what is the relationship to our 3D praying mantis, and are the crickets related to them?
In fact, that they are insectians, they're related, exactly. But as far as a direct relationship, no. What we have to learn here is that, yes, the praying mantis insect and the praying mantis insectian have many same qualities, but the insectian has a much higher quality to play with than one who isn't. But yes, look at them. I mean, the praying mantis have a reputation as the tigers of the insect world. the most incredible aggressors. And of course, you get to the Antari and it's 180. That's why you'll see many things right now are 3D, and 3D is going away, and we're going to enter into a different reality, and it's going to change everything. So just understand that. And it's very hard for people on this planet to make that shift because we have been inculcated since little kids with just the opposite stuff.
Okay, Sarah says, I'd love to know if there's any way the Bushmen of Africa, known as the First Peoples, had or have Mantis as their God, in quotes, small g, the very beings we are hearing about. If anything is available on this, I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much.
Sure, there are a number of books that have been written on them, and of course it's rare, but they are incredible beings. I mean, I learned more from talking to the Galactic Federation people that I talked to about them than any other place. And of course, they had chimed in with people that I talked to about them. So I initially wanted to do all these stories, and I said to myself, that isn't what the Antari want. They want us to just know them as beings of light and love that bring calmness and peace and amazing things to us. Of course, the freaky woman in the Mexican video may seem opposite that, but we have to remember that's what they are about. They're about calmness. When the person taking the photography looked at that, and you look at that particular being sitting there, he looks like a giant praying mantis, but the thing that gets you amazed about it is the aura around him. He's like some Buddhist saint, and you say to yourself, wow, he's just like the fully conscious beings that I have seen from the Syrians and others from the Pleiadians. These beings are entirely different than the praying mantis, but they have a kinship. And that is that all of us have a kinship with beings throughout the galaxy. And we will notice that, and we will pick that up, just as the Insectians on this world have a degree of kinship to the galactic versions of themselves. And that shows you that everywhere in this world, there are beings that are about one thing, light and love. And even though these creatures like the praying mantis is the tiger of the insect world, or bees or wasps or whatever, they are just a small 3D aspect of what is going out there in the great universe.
Excuse me. Okay, so that was a good answer, except for the Bushmen of Africa. Do you think that they were visiting them?
Oh, I'm sure they were. They were visiting everybody. And of course, there are many groups that call themselves First People. So when I studied anthropology, I learned about a ton of them that said that about themselves. And for instance, the Eskimos, which aren't the Eskimos, they just call themselves the people. That's what all people, and they see themselves as the first people. So, and they are all very, if you get into the mythology of the Aleut, the Eskimos, you immediately discover all of that again. So yes, there are many groups that have been visited and that were all about peace and light and love, and have been changed by the nature of how this world has turned out so far. But we're changing that. We're changing that. And that brings joy to my heart.
Yes. So Bill says, can the Antari communicate vocally as well as telepathically?
They have a language, but it's clicks and all kinds of high-speed noises that we can't make out. So yes, they do most of their working telepathically.
Okay, Elaine says, oh, glad to send love. Oh, that was to heal you and me. Thanks, Elaine. I just had a thought that Thomas Jefferson was either an incarnated Antarian or was guided by them when he was here. Not sure, but having read Roberta Grimes' book, My Thomas, I have a slant on him that bespeaks gentleness, love, peace, and light.
Yeah, Jefferson is a very complex being. And let me just leave it at that, because you would have to read books about him to understand him as a being. The man who communicated with Saint Germain to create this amazing document, the Declaration of Independence, definitely was a special being, and that's why Saint Germain dealt with him. Saint Germain does not tend to deal with the average person who is not fully understanding of what the whole thing is about, and he did. He knew it.
Okay, Diane says, have you or Sheldan seen any Antarians?
I have felt them, but I haven't seen them. And I
In
think
fact,
go ahead.
Go on. Well, I asked Sheldan, have you even met any insectians? And he said no. He's met a lot of different other sentient beings, but not an insectian. Up close and personal, we're talking about like where he could touch them.
Right.
And me, I only had them in my meditation, and it was, they just came in loud and clear, but I did not actually meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kate wants to know, do they work from the dark side of the moon?
They work from the, sounds like somebody's been reading videos, the dark side of the moon. Okay. They don't work really on any dark side of anything. They are beings of light, and they don't work there. They tend to use their abilities, and what they do is they work with their telepathy and with their invisibility if so required, but they are there. They're not really residing anyplace. They are among us right now, but they understand because of their high energies, most people don't see them. So they're happy with that right now, because they also understand that a lot of people on this planet are not yet ready for insectians to visit them, even if they are great light beings. I think that film I was just describing was an example of what we're talking about.
Okay, Lynn says, in what dimension are these folks? Also, have they gone through the same metamorphosis of technology and consciousness that we are now doing?
Yeah, millions of years ago, they went through that. They are beings of I wouldn't call it multidimensional. How do I put it? You know, they understand and encompass all the 9 dimensions of the physical universe. Let's just put it that way. So they are constantly moving through time, through the dimensions of reality, and also through the universe. So they are beings of light and love and unity, and they have been everywhere. Like they say to a guy who's well traveled, I've been everywhere. Well, that's where they've been.
You can take me anywhere. Okay, Marlene says, how do the Andromedan Council and Galactic Federation work together, or do they?
The Andromedan Council, yeah. We have to remember that the Andromedans, when we talked about them, their confederation, the largest in the Galactic Federation, is at the very heart of what the Galactic Federation is about. So yes, they do work with the Galactic Councils, or the Andromedan Councils, yes.
Okay, changing the subject a little bit. Monica says, can you tell us what will happen with Kim Jong-un? Should we be worried, or will the GF stop him from doing anything dangerous?
I feel deeply that when we have a change in this government, that crisis will go away, because if the Federation can come in, they will just neutralize the nuclear energy and the rockets, and gone.
You know, there's been so many nuclear attempts in the last, well, since 2000, I guess.
Yeah.
And they've all been stopped. So I don't even worry about a nuclear, problem. Are they trying to use North Korea as to create a war? Absolutely. The cabal is trying to do that. And you know what? I don't even worry about that. I mean, will there be little things? And of course, I never like it if anybody's ever hurt. But I don't worry about it as a big scale or to derail us from the trajectory that we are on, which is to create the 5D reality. So
Exactly.
these are their last attempts. That's how I see it anyway, but
That's how I see it too, my love.
that's how I sleep at night. I just believe I have that faith. So Catherine says, is Antares, the red star, a home of Antari?
No. I just explained to you that it was Moose and Sagittari, which is in Sagittarius. Antares is it's in a different constellation. So no, don't put the two of them together just because the name is so similar to the big giant red. That's the big giant red star in our galaxy. So just don't put the two of them together, okay?
Mm-hmm. Bill, you're funny. And while we're speaking of money, where's that fabled cash? Where indeed? When is now a good time for that to happen, hey?
I'd say now is a good time.
Exactly. Okay. A couple people want to know, hey, well, what's happening? And basically, it's all unfolding, and yes, it's taking longer than you and I would like, because we thought that, really at the beginning of the summer, if not other times, but for
Right.
sure we thought then, I think Sheldan even said, this is my last webinar doing it this way, and so here we sit. But I think if our attention, that's one thing I loved about this webinar, and all the emails that I was receiving, it took me off of all of the delays, what are considered delays, and certainly the roller coaster ride of today, tomorrow, the next day, next week, September 30th, October 1st, all of that. So I think it's a very good teaching that they were giving us, which is to balance out what we focus on. And so it's really good to hold the vision, because Hilarion, on this last update that Sheldan did yesterday, that will be out on Tuesday, he said he's so delighted with the visions that we're all keeping, even though we're frustrated. And so that does say a lot for us. So pat us all on the back, because this is not an easy thing to walk between the worlds. I just spend time in the morning and time in the evening on my visualization and my feeling it and loving it and imagining how I fit into that. And then the rest of the day, I just try to do what I can to make this reality work for me.
Right.
It's not always easy, that's for sure. So I guess the time is up. Do you have anything to add about what's going on, or what we can expect, honey?
I think we're very close to these funds happening for everybody, even though it'll take a few weeks after certain other groups get paid, and then other groups get paid, and the whole rigmarole that they've set up. But the important thing is, I think that the big game is over, and we are on the verge of a new land, the Nassau Republic, and disclosure. And this concept of being close to disclosure makes me quite happy. So that's about as much as the news I would take. If you want to, at some time, maybe in another one, we'll talk about Antarctica and the Nazis, Neues Schwabenland, and people will then understand about truths that have been hidden from us, and they will get a better idea of seeing how the continents of our planet have been settled. And of course, Antarctica with what's it, like 2 miles of ice above their heads is a former place. But yes, and of course the Nazis tried to get into all the worlds that they could get their hands on, and so they tried to get into Agartha, and they didn't. So, and we can talk about what happened to Marconi and all that. We could play a little game of information, but that isn't what I feel is appropriate for this lecture. So at first I was going to do it, and then I said, nah, another one. We'll spill the beanos on that.
Okay. Well, it's time to say goodbye. So Zazuma, heartfelt gratitude, that's Syrian. Zazuma, you can all say it because it makes you smile. Zazuma. Right. And just remember that the power of intention. So spirit in action is living with the power of intention. So when you set intentions for everything you do during the day, from eating food that nourishes your body to having a loving response to people you interact with instead of being reactatory, you unplug yourself from the default choice or the collective that does not live by intention. Right. So intention is powerful. And with that, I say, bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining us. It means a lot to both Sheldan and me, and of course, the unsung hero, Miles. He doesn't get much attention, but he's so integral to our success and to bringing you these webinars. So thanks, Miles. Zazuma, heartfelt gratitude. Love and light to all. Bye-bye. It's all your Shell.
Okay. So let me finish with bringing in the Supreme Creative Force energies. Thank all for all the energies that have been received, and that people will now be able to use it once again to help further bringing this new reality forth. And on that I say, let that be it. Enjoy. And let us all take in this information and let it be another part of bringing us ever closer to understanding about the Galactic Federation and the peoples that inhabit this immense and beautiful galaxy and this even more immense and beautiful universe. With that, I say so long for now. And once again, as my Kalini said, Zazuma, heartfelt thanks to all for all you are doing. So, Zazuma, heartfelt thanks to all for all you are doing.